Over the past, week or two, I've been making a lot of content talking about taxes and a lot of the systems that we have in place, both here in the UK and generally around the world, especially in the West, as it's called. I want to make a video today that I'm not sure if everyone will appreciate because it's me speaking about something very personal. And I know some people just don't like that. Some people will just hate anyway. I need to tell my story because on a channel like the one that I do, I focus on two things. I focus on what I see as personal and kind of social issues. And I also talk about like business and money making and all the stuff that I'm doing in my own life. Now, this video is really around both of those facts. It really does revolve around both because we're talking about taxes. Now, a little bit of context on me. Maybe you've not watched for a while. Maybe you're watching for the first time, like I know a lot of you guys increasingly are. Let me tell you a little bit about my situation, so this will hopefully make more sense. So I'm 21 years old, and I do a few things in life, right? People say, what do you do? I work part-time in a shop, but honestly, I wouldn't even consider that to be anything. It makes no money, and I don't even know if that's going to be a long-term thing for me because of how financially unviable it is. But the main thing that I want to focus on is the fact that I'm 21 and my main stream of income, like a lot of it, comes from running my own businesses. So my businesses involve a lot of things. I obviously make videos on YouTube, which don't pay a lot, but they do pay. Alongside that, I teach people on Patreon, but the main thing that I do is my reselling streams of income. So in the past month, I've massively been able to increase my revenue and profit on honestly, all of these channels, because I've seen a new life, right? I've seen a new light. I've seen that most people work 40 hours a week. It's not the kind of life that I want. I want to perhaps work less or even work more, but just work on something that's fulfilling to me. And for me, my own businesses fulfills me. I'm my own boss. I do whatever I want. I can have a day off like I am today where I'm going out. It's the lifestyle that I want to live. And I know a lot of people say, well, what you want and what you can have are two different things. Look at the figures. I'm actually making the money where I'm making actually above now UK minimum salary. Like if you were on minimum wage full time, I think it's about 24,000. I'm making more than that. That's almost for sure. And then the average salary I think is about 36 or 34, something like that. And we're getting to a point now where that is more in the realm of where we're dealing. Now that sounds great, but there's been a big catch that I've faced, and someone brought it up in the comment section. It's something that I've obviously known about, something that I've obviously considered, but it's always been one of those kind of kick it down the road things. Not necessarily because I'm ignorant, but it wasn't a problem at the time. And this revolves around a certain tax here in the UK called value added tax. Now, value added tax, for those that don't know, is 20%, I believe. Now, I know some people are going to say, how are you going to make a video on it if you don't know all of the figures? I'm a normal guy, right? I'm a normal guy who I'm filming a video in my car, in a car park. I'm not a financial expert in some luxury office. You know what I'm saying, guys? So I believe it's 20%. If I'm wrong, correct me. And the threshold to actually pay it used to be £75,000. Now it's 85,000. So it has gone up a bit. But this is the thing, right? For those that don't know, it's a tax on businesses, and it's a tax on businesses that make over £85,000. Now, on the surface of it, that's like, well, fair enough. These people could do with paying 20% extra tax. But here's the thing: it's not on profits; it's on turnover. So obviously, what that means is a business could be making basically no profits or very little profits. And they get taxed on that turnover. Now, I'm sure some people will give me information in the comment section telling me about how you can, how this might not apply to me, or maybe I'm wrong, you know, but this is my understanding of it. And I'm going to explain what this means. So like I say, my business, I don't know for sure. I can't say a direct figure because it's a business, right? It's not a salary. It's not a job. If I do 10 hours of work one day, I might get paid £1,000. If I do 10 hours the next day, I might make no sales at all. It just very much depends. My videos might go viral. They might not do any views at all. That's just life. That's just running a business. But let's say I average out at, we'll say for argument's sake, 25,000 a year. I'm not saying it is that. I'm not saying it's not. But we need to create some figure. And I think that's a very conservative and fair estimate. So 25,000 profit, 85,000 revenue. It'd actually probably be more than that going forwards if this rate of growth continues. And you'd get taxed at 20% on that revenue. So what does that actually mean for my business? Because that's what really matters, right? So what this will generally likely mean is that, so out of my whole revenue, I would have to pay a lot more tax, which would either do one of two things. It'd mean that I'd either reduce my profits by quite a bit. 20% is not an insignificant value to reduce your profits by at all. 20% is large. Or I could go down the avenue of increasing prices. And here's the thing about this, right? My Patreon clients always ask me, how do I maximize sales, or how do I do this and do that? And I say it's always about putting yourself in the eyes of the consumer. So increasing your sales by your prices by 20%, what effect will that have on your consumer? Now, I am obviously a consumer, as we all are. We all buy different things. I'll give you an example of my car, right? Obviously, I have a car. Should kind of go without saying for the context of this video. And that car, now and again, does need some work doing to it. Now, there's 2 garages in my local area, both of which I trust, both of which I find the people to be pleasant and knowledgeable, and they know a lot about my quite rare and specialist car. Whatever, it's fine, it's cool. That's good. But one of the garages I've literally completely stopped going to. Not got an issue with the mechanics or the salespeople there at all. And I know you could say all garages might try and rip you off. That's a different point. I've not got an issue with any of the staff or anything like that. I don't go to this garage because it's costing me a lot more. Because the business has to pay 20% tax. And naturally, they're going to want to pass that on to their customers. Because why should they take a 20% loss, right? So now I don't go to this garage anymore because car stuff is not cheap. I think on my last car, I can't remember what bit of work it was. I think it was like a transmission or something, or a clutch. This was a long time ago. And it cost like £1,000. So I had 2 choices. I could go to one garage and pay 1,200, or I could go to the other garage and pay 1,000. And that's just a prime example of, obviously I'm not going to pay £200 extra for the same work. So I didn't do it, and I wouldn't do it. And I think a lot of people would not, because why would you? So back in the context of my business, that's going to mean that either I'm going to have to reduce profits and profit margins to sell the same items at the same prices, or perhaps risk making less sales and imposing a tax. And by the way, a lot of the stuff that I sell is not necessarily that cheap anymore. I have some items that I sell for, let's say, £20, and yeah, £20 or 20% profit, 20% tax is not going to be that hurtful. But I have items that I sell for £200, £2,000. Imagine paying 20% tax on a £2,000 item. I'm not saying people will not or wouldn't do it. I don't know. We're going to do the market research and find out. But this is a concern for me. And I don't like to diss, the government, the country, or anything like that. I love the UK. It's a great country. But here's the thing, right? People hear that you're a business owner and they think it means one of 2 things. They either think it means that you're some dropout loser, which I think that's what a lot of people in the comment section might think of me. But at the end of the day, guys, look, I've got this big car. I'm saving up rapidly, like tens of thousands of pounds in the last couple of months, to be honest. It's quite unbelievable. And the point is this. So some people will judge you like that, but secondarily, everyone thinks that you're rich. And a lot of the time you're not, because you're getting taxed, especially in the UK, up to your eyeballs. And also, if I was a different type of person, if I wasn't the type of person to look for and try and find solutions, I would be very much questioning why I'm doing what I'm doing right now at all. And I know that might sound stupid, but just hear me out, right? If you take your own judgment out of it, which a lot of people seem to have, and just hear it out for what it is, you might understand where I'm coming from. So if I was a different sort of person, and I was looking at what I'm looking at right now, which is I'm going to get taxed even more, it's going to have an effect on my business one way or another, whether it's profits, revenues, or anything like that, and the amount of work that I've put into building this business, I'm not trying to be that guy, but if I was a more defeatist person, it'd almost be like a disincentive. It'd almost be like, why am I bothering? I'm trying to actually do something for myself. I'm hearing all the time about how, and I know we all are, right? So we all understand this. We're all hearing all the time about how young people are lazy, they've got no work drive, they think they can't afford houses. That's fine. I don't care. People go down a traditional path, that's their business. I have gone down my path. I'm going down my path, and it's obviously working. So you see all this and you realise that for a lot of young people, jobs don't work, the jobs that they want are not going to pay them what they want, and they probably won't afford a house that way. You try and do something for yourself, you make a lot of money for yourself, or a decent amount of money for yourself. That £25,000, let's say it was that, I don't know if it is or isn't, I could difficultly, if I really wanted high difficulty, I could work full-time alongside that and make like 50. Or what I'm really trying to do is build other businesses and build even more money. But just listen to the fact of it, right? And the fact of the matter is simply this. When you're getting taxed even more for your hard work and your smart work and trying to be a change for the country, right? And this is the thing, right? People don't necessarily acknowledge it. When you're building a business, you are trying to be a positive change for your society, for your country. I know people might say, well, greedy capitalism, we live in a capitalist society. The best thing you can do is at least try and thrive off of it. And that's what I'm trying to do, right? Trying to build a business, trying to grow it. I don't mind paying more taxes as long as it's fair, but there's a point here, right? So it's more taxes. It's a big disincentive for young people to build businesses, for older people to build a business, you have to ask why. I don't need any employees on my own businesses, not now, maybe in the future, but at the minute I'm fine. But imagine if I had employees, right? All of the extra difficulties and taxes for creating jobs, for boosting the economy. A lot of my sales on my eBay businesses, and especially Patreon and stuff like that, come from overseas. So I'm bringing foreign money into the UK through rightful channels, right? I pay tax, I pay the appropriate taxes, my businesses are legal, all that sort of stuff. I'm doing everything that I can by the book, and I always have done. But at the same time, we're seeing stuff like this, right? Genuinely, a disincentive for trying, for helping, in a way. I know people might not have much sympathy for that. That's fine. I'm just documenting my thoughts and opinions of the time. It's a disincentive for business owners who perhaps are employers, who bring in God knows how much money in taxes anyway, who bring in God knows how much money in terms of foreign investment, foreign spending money, and what do they get for it, right? You get to a level where you're actually starting to get a decent income for whether it's a working person or a middle class person or a young person, whatever you want to call it. You get to a level where this is now, for me at least, looking like, oh, this actually really could be my future. You know, let's say 25,000 at the minimum. That is a decent salary in the UK. That's enough money realistically to have a nice work-life balance, have enough money to basically pay for all of your living costs and even have some savings. And bear in mind, that number, I think it's only going to go up and up because I'm just building more businesses as the weeks and months go by. It's literally happening. It's not a theory, it's a fact. But what do I get for it? You get more taxes. And it's a tax on revenues, not profits. So I guess this is another story about something that I don't like to go down the avenue of, but how we are disincentivized as people, as individuals, as young people, as a society, as maybe the UK, from trying in a way. Because like I say, I will either pay it directly, or I'll find out more information, or I'll consult an assistant, an accountant, whatever. And like I say, lifestyle changes, it may be worth completely moving yourself to a different country, which would bring a different stance on things. But other people will probably be there like, right, I'm trapped. And I've done something to help myself. I've done something to help the country, the economy, pay more into the system in a fair way. I'm just getting done over again. And again, this is for services and resources that do not benefit us. More taxes. For what? For what, right? I'll give an example. I know a lot of people, I know some people have said in the comment section that, oh, you don't want a capitalist system because you think young people should be able to afford a house. That's not the case at all. But what we have right now is almost not like a capitalist system, because we have a state that big. Just think about it, right? In real capitalism, I'd be able to keep most or all of my profits. You know, you'd get incentives for actually building a business, not decentivized. Think about it. I'm 21, right? And income, lifestyle is very subjective, because some people would look at my lifestyle and say it's terrible. Some people look at it and say it's great. I think I'm doing all right for myself. I've got this big car that I pay £400 tax on to drive on roads that are just abysmal. I just paid for some fuel. It was £50 for a full tank, which, you know what, for a car of this age that gets about 8 miles per gallon, that's not too bad at all. But realistically, we know that at least half of that is tax and duties and tariffs. Income tax, anyway. I work a job, so that gets taxed. And now you're asking for even more of my money? I'm trying to get myself out of this hole. The hole that, I'm not asking for any sympathy, by the way, but I'm just acknowledging the fact. The hole that I was born into of sort of being an average citizen, quite in the poorer part of society. You try and break out of it, and this appears to just be what you get every time. I'm not complaining. I am going to find a solution, whatever it is. I'll make it work somehow, but come on, man. I think this is what a lot of people across the country are feeling. I'm going to make another video about income taxes in the future, and also road taxes and vehicle excise duties. But this is what, not everyone who's watching this is going to be a business owner. I almost guarantee that most of you won't be. But I know a lot of British people, or people that at least live in the UK and pay taxes here or whatever, will feel this struggle with me, because we're all getting it, right? And this is the thing. Working people will try and go against me for saying, well, you have an easy life. You just run a business and you can go on days out like what you're doing now, and you shouldn't be complaining. Don't make it a you versus me. We're all the working people, right? And I know you might say, well, you work on a laptop in your bedroom, or on a beach, or in a coffee shop, or in a hotel like you were last week. You can do whatever you want. True. But at the same time, there's people who do nothing. They're generationally wealthy. They've done nothing to earn it. Is it necessarily their fault? No. But this is how the system wants it to be. They want you to be looking at me, or they want me to be looking at you, when really we're all getting robbed the same way.